This is my gallery, and this is a quick look around. And the idea in this gallery is people to come together to the things we love, whether that be art, music, literature, kids, crafts, more music, all sorts of stuff. But I want to talk about this painting here and the significance of the painting and how it came to be. You can see it. Picture of a Black Lives Matter person hugging a Trump supporter. But I wanted to read y'all where that painting idea came to life. But before I do, I want to talk about the person that I'm about to read about. His name is Hawk Newsome, and he is head of BLM New York City. And when he is featured in this book, Love Your Enemies, I think he was a very different person than he is today. I'm going to first read you the piece. This was written back in 2016 to explain how this painting came to be. Okay. I'm not a great reader, so I'll do the best I can. On September 2017, Hawk Newsome and a group of protesters from Black Lives Matter of Greater New York arrived on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. to confront a group of Trump supporters gathered for what they called the Mother of All rallies. All community activists from the South Bronx. Hawk Newsome had recently been on the front lines in Charlottesville, Virginia, protesting a rally by white nationalists that had made headlines all over the country. He was still nursing a wound from that confrontation, where he had been hit in the face with a rock. When Hawk and his team arrived on the mall, he braced for another confrontation and maybe more injuries. He figured the pro-Trump marchers were not much different from the white supremacists he had faced in Charlottesville. Hawk was filled with disdain for them. The marchers appeared to reciprocate his feelings, yelling, "USA, USA, you don't like it? Get out." And ignore them. They don't exist. The two sides traded insults, and the situation became more combustible by the second. Onlookers immediately pulled out their phones and became videographers, ready to capture the clash and post on social media. It was clear that yet another one of those ugly confrontations we have all come to dread was about to unfold. But then, just the insults seemed ready to give way to blows, something wholly unexpected happened. Tommy Hodges, the organizer of the pro-Trump rally, invited Hawk Newsome onto his stage. "We're going to give you 2 minutes of our platform to put your message out," Tommy told Hawk. "Whether they disagree or agree with your message is irrelevant. It's the fact that you have the right to have the message." Hawk was ready to fight, not give a speech, but he accepted nonetheless. And he took the microphone in his hand, and he thought back to the moment in Charlottesville when he was about to pick up a rock and throw it. This little old white lady, I don't know where she came from, but she said, "Your mouth is your most powerful weapon. You don't need anything but that." Now Hawk had a chance to use it. A committed Christian, he said a prayer, and as he did, he had a voice in his heart telling him, "Let them know who you are." He took a deep breath and addressed the hostile crowd with passion and total sincerity. "My name is Hawk Newsome. I'm the president of Black Lives Matter New York. I am an American. He had the crowd's attention, and he continued. And the beauty of America is that when you see something broken in your country, you can mobilize to fix it, he said. To his utter surprise, the crowd burst into applause. Emboldened, he said, "So you ask why there's a Black Lives Matter? Because you can watch a black man die and be choked to death on television and nothing happen. We need to address that." "That was criminals. That was a criminal," someone yelled, as boos started emanating from the crowd. Hawk pressed on. "We're not anti-cop." "Yes, you are," someone yelled. "We're anti-bad cop," Hawk countered. "We say if a cop is bad, he needs to get fired like a bad plumber, like a bad lawyer, like a bad politician." And this, the crowd began cheering. These days, there's nothing political rallies hate more than bad politicians. "I said that I'm an American. Secondly, I'm a Christian," Hawk said, once again connecting with his audience. "We don't want handouts. We don't want anything that's yours. We want our God-given rights to freedom, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." The crowd erupted in cheers. Then someone shouted, "All lives matter." "You're right, my brother. You're right. You were so right," Hawk said. "All lives matter. Right. But when a black life is lost, we get no justice. That is why we say Black Lives Matter." His 2 minutes up, he concludes his remarks by saying, "Listen, I want to leave you with this, and I'm gone. If we really want to make America great, we do it together." The crowd roared. They started chanting, "USA, USA." A lady standing in the front row reached up and handed Hawk an American flag. He held it up and waved it at the crowd. More cheers. As he stepped off stage, to his shock and amazement, many of the Trump supporters came up and embraced him. Earlier, when he first arrived on the mall, he had cut his hand with a knife while opening a box of signs. He had wrapped it in a bandana, but now was bleeding through. The leader of a 4,000-man militia saw that Hawk was hurt and took him aside to treat his wound. "He's treating my finger," Hawk says. And the militia guy goes, "You know, I thought I understood you before, but I get it now. You're all right, brother." We slapped hands. They have kept in touch since the rally. We're still friends on Facebook, Hawk says. Then a man named Kenny Johnson, one of the leaders of a group called Bikers for Trump, approached Hawk. He's like a son of anarchy type, Hawk recalls. He said, "Your speech was amazing. I'd be honored if you met my son." So he walked over to his son, who was playing with his toy under a tree, a little blind-haired kid named Jacob. Johnson asked Hawk to pick the boy up so they could take a picture together. "That touched me," Hawk says. After meeting Hawk, Johnson told Vice News, "I feel what he said came from the heart when he got on the stage. I probably agree with 90% of what he said. I listened to him with much love, respect, and honor, and I got that back. So as far as I'm concerned, he's my brother now." That moment happened, I think it said 2016. I don't have the exact date. I think it was 2016. But sadly, we're in a very different reality right now. We're in a reality where people are judging and treating another not based on their actions or the character of their heart, but the color of their skin. And that needs to stop. Hawk Newsome, something happened to that man. I saw him on Fox News the other night on a video, and he said, hey man, if they're not going to listen to us, we're going to burn it down. Doesn't sound like the Hawk Newsome of this book. We got to stop dividing through colors. We got to stop dividing through colors. That does not just mean black and white. That means black and blue. That means the cops and blacks. That means blue and white. That means every color. Every color. Be that religion, be that red and blue of Democrat and Republican, be that sexuality, be that gender, be that culture, be that all of that. Our country is ripping apart. And that has literally broken my heart. And that's why I opened One Love. We got to come together on the thing that unites us, our shared humanity. And it is so much bigger than anything. And all our differences eclipses it like a sun. And we got to start uniting through those things, because if we don't, it's only going to get worse. It will be much worse than the BLM rallies. We will be in a civil war. It is time we start a movement of civility. A movement of civility with everybody. With the people you disagree, you can't stand the very words coming out of their mouth. We have to understand before we can be understood. It is the hardest thing to do. To listen before we judge. To talk, to understand, instead of trying to persuade or debate or get your point across. But listen to understand, and then listen that they will listen to what you have to say. Because I can tell you this from talking to countless people of every kind of them. I mean, I've talked to white supremacists, I've taught Democrats, Republicans, independent, anarchists, sex offenders, drug dealers. And I do my best to just listen. As much I disagree with them. Sex offenders came walking in my gallery. For some reason, they come into my gallery. I think because it says on the window of my gallery, all are welcome here, no matter your politics or anything else. And they come in here, and they tell me their stories. They tell me stories that make my blood boil. Boil. I have 2 daughters, 12 and 13, soon to be 14. And it's so hard. But I know if I don't listen and I rebuke them and don't just try to understand them, they will walk right out of here. And 1 million people have made them feel bad. It does me no good to make them feel bad. We have to take that same approach. If I can talk to a sex offender in my gallery when I have 2 daughters, 12 and 14, then you can talk to a person that you have a political difference with. You can talk to a person that maybe is a different color than you. You can talk to a person that maybe has a different religion than you. You can talk to a person that maybe has a different gender than you that you maybe don't understand. You can talk to a person that has a different sexuality than you. You can talk to a person that has a different culture than you. You can talk to a person that has less money than you. You can talk to anybody if you use humanity and not divide through color, not divide through all those things I've talked about. And remember the Hawk Newsome I read about in this book before. Not the one who's lost his way in Black Lives Matter marches and is now doing stuff violently and hateful. He clearly has a lot of hate in his heart, and hate will drag you down more than the person you hate. It will destroy you. As I know, I went to jail when my hate got me in trouble, and I had to fight not to go to prison from the mistake I made. So I understand it intimately. So I'll try reading this book. It's a great book. I mean, that's just the first bit of the book. So I want to just share that with y'all, and I'm going to go out on this painting so you have a better understanding of what it is now. This painting is not authentic. It's not Hawk Newsome. It's not the big black man that Hawk is, and it's not Hodges, the white guy, because I've seen the video. But it does represent the idea. It represents the idea of hug out hate and what we have to do in this world. We have to love fierce. You can see there's an eye of that Trump supporter. And in that eye is a tear as he hugs the Black Lives Matter person. We got to start hugging out hate and loving the people that we don't want to. That we don't want to. Because if we don't, we are going to be in a civil war. We are heading there. I can promise you that. I've seen it in my gallery. I've literally been in this gallery in the summer. Actually, I think it was October, just before the election. Door was closed. The door you see right over there was closed. And I could literally hear chants up the street that said, "Racists, go home. Racists, go home." And I was like, what is that? I was like, man, what are those Trump supporters up to now? I went up the street. I grabbed my One Love sign. This one you see right here. I don't know if y'all can see that. And I started heading up. And I got up there. And I thought something I didn't think I would see. I saw Trump supporters on one side of the street. And I saw Black Lives Matter signs all up and down and all about that stuff. And all liberals on the other side. Mainly, pretty much all whites except one or two blacks, and really young liberals, which in essence were illiberals. The Trump supporters on that side of the street were waving their flags. They had their kids in their arms in front of them, and they had their hats and their shirts. And the worst thing that I saw from their side was a flag that said, "Black Guns Matter." I didn't like that. But what I noticed is the Trump supporters were just waving their flags and supporting their candidate. And the hate, which I did not expect, was coming almost entirely from the other side of the street, chanting, like I said. So I heard it from my gallery, which is literally a block away. If these white Trump supporters, racists go home, and their kids right there. Didn't say anything. They're just there supporting their candidate. And as the day progressed, I stood there and videoed it, and then liberals started moving to the median, and then they moved over to the other side. I literally had to get between a young white girl attacking an older white Trump supporter for just standing there. And cops were screamed at and harassed for just doing their job. We've got to stop seeing people for the color of their skin. Like I said, for the black and the blue of the police. This just isn't in my town, folks. It's everywhere. It's getting worse. We need to start finding humanity in the people we disagree with. I've said enough. This is long. I don't know if anybody will watch this whole thing. But I wanted to show you finally the thing up on the wall that says, come together through the love of art. All this art, music, games, crafts, books, and everything like that, y'all. Hope y'all can join me in this journey, quest I'm on to get this done. Hope y'all have a good day. Take care.